the NFL world is shaking tonight. It's not just another headline, not just another draft day trivia nugget. It's a full-blown earthquake that has executives texting each other, fans arguing on social media, and sports talk shows clearing their rundowns to cover it. Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado star quarterback turned Cleveland Brown, just gave us one of the wildest power plays in recent draft memory. He flat-out rejected the Baltimore Ravens on draft day. Yes, you heard that right. Rejected. A fifth-round pick turned down a perennial AFC contender with a two-time MVP quarterback and one of the most respected coaching staffs in football. The Ravens were locked in, the draft card ready to be sent, pick 141, consensus reached. And then, boom, word came back that Sanders and his camp didn't want any part of Baltimore. Why? Because backing up Lamar Jackson was never part of the plan. Picture it, the Ravens' war room, a machine built on precision. The scouts nodding, the GM smiling, the card about to be handed in. And then someone bursts into the room with the news. Shedeur's camp says he wants no part of a clipboard job. He's looking for a path to the field, not a redshirt year in the NFL. Within minutes, the entire strategy flips. Baltimore pivots, takes someone else, and 3 picks later, Cleveland swoops in and grabs Sanders at 144. And here, where it gets even juicier. Fast forward 5 months to today. The Browns roll into Baltimore to face the Ravens, and just hours before kickoff, ESPN's Adam Schefter drops the bombshell report confirming what insiders had been whispering since April. Baltimore could have had Sanders. Sanders could have been wearing purple and black, learning from Lamar, groomed in one of the most stable systems in the league. Instead, he'll be inactive today, standing on the sideline in street clothes, watching the quarterback he refused to back up carve up the Browns' defense. The drama writes itself. This isn't just a football decision, it's a statement. It's a bet on himself, a gamble that Cleveland's chaos will open doors faster than Baltimore's stability ever would. It's also the kind of move that splits the football world down the middle. Some are calling it arrogance, saying a rookie with no NFL snaps hasn't earned the right to dictate where he plays. Others are calling it genius, praising him for taking control of his future in a league that rarely lets players, especially late-round picks, have any say at all. Tonight's story isn't just about one pick, one player, or one game. It's about power, timing, and the kind of mindset that separates passengers from drivers. Whether this becomes a legendary success story or one of the all-time draft blunders, we're watching history unfold in real time. Before we dive any deeper into this Ravens versus Browns saga, we need to rewind the tape and talk about who Shedeur Sanders really is. Because understanding his journey is the key to understanding why this decision is so explosive. Shedeur isn't just any rookie quarterback. He's football royalty. The son of NFL Hall of Famer Deion, primetime Sanders, Shedeur has been under the spotlight since the day he first picked up a football. His entire football life has been played under a microscope, first at Trinity Christian, where he racked up state titles in Texas, then at Jackson State, where he was coached by his own father and became the face of HBCU football's resurgence. He wasn't just putting up numbers, he was rewriting record books and putting scouts on notice. By the time he transferred to Colorado, the hype was already out of control. We're talking national headlines, ESPN segments, celebrity appearances. Everyone wanted to know if Coach Prime's son was for real. And when the 2023 college football season kicked off, Shedeur answered with one of the most electrifying performances we've seen in recent memory, dropping 510 passing yards in Colorado's upset win over TCU. Overnight, the conversation shifted. He wasn't just Deion's kid anymore. He was a legitimate first-round NFL prospect. But football is a cruel game. As Colorado's season wore on, reality set in. The offensive line fell apart, Shedeur started taking hit after hit, and Colorado dropped game after game. Suddenly, the narrative changed. Scouts started picking apart his mechanics, his pocket presence, his arm strength under pressure. By the time the pre-draft process rolled around, Shedeur's stock had plummeted from possible top 10 pick to maybe late day 2. And then came the interviews, and the whispers that he hadn't exactly impressed NFL teams behind closed doors. Reports leaked that he came into meetings unprepared, didn't respond well to criticism, and seemed to have a chip on his shoulder the size of the Flatirons. Whether that's true or not, it tanked his stock even further. One by one, teams passed. By day 3 of the NFL draft, Shedeur Sanders, the guy who once trended as a possible Heisman candidate, was sitting in the green room waiting for a call that wasn't coming. That's where the fire got lit. By the time pick 141 rolled around, he'd watched 140 players go before him. And in that moment, it seems Shedeur made a decision. He wasn't just going to accept whatever situation came his way. If he was going to rebuild his name, he was going to do it on his terms, even if that meant rejecting the Ravens and choosing the chaos of Cleveland. If Baltimore represents stability, then Cleveland represents pure chaos, and that might be exactly what drew Shedeur Sanders in. The Cleveland Browns have been the NFL's most notorious quarterback carousel for the past 2 decades. It's not just a joke, it's a fact. Since returning to the league in 1999, the Browns have started over 30 different quarterbacks, a list so long it's practically a trivia contest. Some were first-round busts, some were journeymen, some were last-minute desperation signings, and almost all of them eventually flamed out. For a young quarterback, that might sound like a nightmare, but for someone like Shedeur, it sounds like an opening. Think about it. In Baltimore, Lamar Jackson is the unquestioned starter, an MVP-caliber franchise cornerstone. In Cleveland, the QB depth chart is always written in pencil, never pen. This team has benched starters after 2 bad games, traded away franchise guys after 1 disappointing season, and gone back to the drawing board more times than fans can count. Right now, the Browns' quarterback room is a mix of desperation and short-term fixes. Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl champion turned veteran journeyman, is holding down the job for now, but at 40 years old, everyone knows he's not the future. Behind him is Dylan Gabriel, a rookie who's talented but unproven, trying to adapt to NFL speed. Cleveland isn't just looking for a backup plan, they're looking for someone to grab the job and never let go. And it's not just the quarterbacks. The Browns' organizational DNA is instability. Coaches come and go. Offensive systems change every couple of seasons. General managers have been fired after 1 draft cycle. For most players, that's a nightmare scenario. For Shedeur, that's a wide-open door. Chaos means turnover. Turnover means opportunity. Every time Cleveland hits rock bottom, and they do it often, somebody new gets a shot to be the savior. Yes, the Browns have stars. Myles Garrett is an all-pro pass rusher. Nick Chubb, when healthy, is one of the league's best running backs. The defense is top tier. But this is still a franchise that lives and dies by the quarterback position, and dies more often than not. Which means when the offense sputters, the fans get restless, and the calls for change start coming quickly. For Shedeur Sanders, that's the calculus. In Cleveland, he doesn't have to wait 5 years for Lamar Jackson to retire or get injured. He might only have to wait 5 games. The Browns' situation is messy, unstable, and full of risk, but it's also the kind of environment where a hungry, confident rookie could take over and never look back. If Shedeur Sanders' draft day decision was a spark, the reaction it triggered was a full-on wildfire. The second Adam Schefter's report hit social media, the NFL world exploded. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform was flooded with takes, memes, and arguments, and the opinions couldn't be more divided. On one side, you've got the old-school football minds, the former players and coaches who see Shedeur's move as borderline reckless. ESPN analyst and former quarterback Alex Smith didn't hold back. "You're a 5th-round pick," he said on air. "You don't get to choose where you play. You go where you're drafted, you learn, you compete, and you earn your shot." Former Browns quarterback Brady Quinn went even further, calling it a dangerous precedent for late-round players to try to dictate terms. The critics all seem to be circling the same point. Shedeur hasn't earned this level of control yet. Falling to the 5th round means something. It means teams saw flaws, concerns, question marks. And instead of embracing the chance to develop behind a former MVP in one of the league's most stable organizations, he essentially turned his nose up at it. To them, that's not confidence, that's arrogance. But on the other side, you've got a wave of player empowerment supporters who see this as a revolutionary move. Ryan Clark on ESPN's NFL Live actually applauded Sanders for betting on himself. We talk all the time about players taking control of their careers. Well, this is what it looks like. This kid didn't want to sit for 5 years holding a clipboard. He wants to play, and he found the best path to do it. Fans are just as split. Ravens fans, of course, are roasting Sanders. Their comment sections are full of memes like better to be Lamar's backup than Cleveland's savior. They're reveling in the fact that Baltimore went out and stomped the Browns 40-17 just hours after the report dropped, calling it instant karma. Browns fans, meanwhile, are torn down the middle. Some love the swagger. They see Sanders as a guy who isn't afraid to take control of his destiny and might finally be the QB to embrace Cleveland's chaos. Others think he's already making trouble before taking a single regular season snap and fear he could be just another name on the infamous Browns QB jersey. Even neutral fans are locked in. This isn't just about a player, it's about what the NFL might look like if more prospects follow Sanders' lead. Could this be the start of mid- and late-round players trying to steer their careers before they even begin? Or will this blow up so badly that no one ever tries it again? One thing is clear. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie quarterback anymore. He's a polarizing figure, a conversation starter, and maybe the most fascinating experiment of this entire NFL season. For all the criticism Shedeur Sanders has taken since this story broke, there's another side to this coin. The potential upside is massive. If his bet pays off, this could go down as one of the boldest, smartest moves a late-round quarterback has ever made. Let's start with the most obvious prize, playing time. In Baltimore, his path to the field was almost non-existent. Lamar Jackson isn't just a starter, he's a franchise icon, a 2-time MVP who just signed a long-term contract. Short of an injury, Sanders could have spent 3 to 5 years watching from the sideline, maybe getting a handful of garbage-time snaps. By choosing Cleveland, Sanders put himself in a situation where the depth chart is fluid. Joe Flacco is a 40-year-old stopgap. Dylan Gabriel, while promising, is still an unproven rookie. In Cleveland, one bad stretch from the starter can lead to a quarterback change, and history shows it happens a lot. Opportunity breeds breakout moments. If Sanders gets the call midseason and delivers, he has a chance to go from 5th-round project to face of the franchise in a matter of weeks. Look at Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Look at Dak Prescott in Dallas. Both were mid to late round picks who got their chance because of injury or poor play ahead of them and never gave the job back. If Sanders takes advantage of Cleveland's instability, he could write a similar Cinderella story. Beyond the field, there's a reputation payoff at stake. Right now, people are calling this move arrogant. But if Sanders turns into a competent starter, or better, a star, this entire narrative flips. Instead of being seen as a stubborn rookie, he'll be celebrated as a visionary who had the courage to chart his own path. Analysts will call it a genius career decision, proof that players can take control of their futures and win. There's also the financial upside. Starting quarterbacks get paid, and they get paid big. If Sanders plays well enough to earn a second contract as a starter, we're talking life-changing money compared to a career spent as a long-term backup. Baltimore might have given him stability, but Cleveland offers him a potential fast track to generational wealth. And then there's the legacy angle. Right now, Sanders is day and son. But if he turns Cleveland around, if he leads them to relevance after decades of dysfunction, he won't just be day and son anymore. He'll be the quarterback who resurrected the Browns. That's the kind of storyline that turns players into legends. Simply put, this is a high-risk, high-reward gamble. If it works, Shedeur Sanders could rewrite how late-round quarterbacks approach their careers. He could become the poster child for betting on yourself and winning big. Shedeur Sanders' decision isn't just about one rookie quarterback or even one team. It's about a shift that could reshape how the NFL operates and how much power young players have over their careers. For decades, the NFL draft has been a one-way street. Teams pick players. Players go where they're told. End of story. Sure, some top prospects have pulled power moves. Think John Elway threatening to play baseball if the Colts drafted him, or Eli Manning refusing to suit up for the Chargers. But those were rare, Hall of Fame caliber talents taken at the very top of the draft. What makes this situation different is that Shedeur Sanders isn't a top 5 pick. He's a 5th rounder. On paper, he's supposed to be happy just to get a call. By reportedly rejecting the Ravens and steering himself toward the Browns, Sanders is breaking a kind of unwritten rule. He's saying, "I don't just want to be in the NFL, I want to choose the path that gives me the best chance to succeed." If this gamble works, it could open the door for other players to try the same thing. Imagine a future where late-round quarterbacks start evaluating depth charts and deciding where they'll have the fastest route to the field, and then using their leverage to get there. It would flip the power dynamic, forcing teams to not only draft well, but to sell players on their vision for their careers. That would be a seismic change for a league that has traditionally given players very little control over their early years. It could also have ripple effects on team culture. If players start seeing themselves as free agents from day one, teams might be pressured to create more transparent development plans, better relationships with rookies, and more open competition for starting jobs. The days of a late-round QB sitting quietly for 3 years could be numbered. On the flip side, if this move backfires, if Sanders flames out in Cleveland, never cracks the starting lineup, or becomes a distraction, teams may respond by becoming even more rigid. Front offices could look at this case as a cautionary tale, doubling down on controlling rookies, careers, and avoiding players they see as difficult. That would make Sanders' gamble not just a personal risk, but a moment that could impact the next generation of players. Beyond the league, this is also about narrative. Fans are drawn to players who challenge the system. Whether you love or hate Sanders' decision, you're talking about it. And that's good for the NFL, which thrives on drama, controversy, and storylines that go beyond the field. This is the kind of moment that fuels debate shows, lights up social media, and keeps casual fans engaged. So, the bigger picture isn't just about Cleveland or Baltimore. It's about whether Shedeur Sanders is a pioneer blazing a new trail for NFL prospects, or a cautionary tale that proves the system can't be gamed. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about Cleveland, Baltimore, or even the draft itself. It's about one young quarterback standing at a crossroads, staring down the 2 roads that could define his entire career. On one path, Shedeur Sanders becomes a success story. The kid who bet on himself, took control of his destiny, and turned a chaotic franchise into a contender. On the other path, he risks becoming a cautionary tale, remembered less for his play on the field, and more for the decision that may have sabotaged his own career before it ever really began. That's the beauty and the danger of this moment. There is no middle ground here. Sanders' decision is either going to look brilliant or disastrous. There's no scenario where it's quietly forgotten. Every snap he takes in Cleveland, every throw he makes, every post-game comment he delivers is going to be magnified through the lens of this gamble. Did he choose wisely? Or did he just walk away from the best situation he was ever going to get? And that's why fans can't look away. Whether you love him or hate him, Shedeur Sanders has made himself must-watch TV. Every time the Browns' offense takes the field, every time Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel struggles, the camera will find him on the sideline. When he eventually gets his chance. Because let's be honest, in Cleveland, opportunities always come sooner rather than later. The pressure will be suffocating. One good game could make him a hero. One bad one could have half the fan base calling for him to sit back down. This is where the great players separate themselves from the rest. It's not just about talent. It's about handling the weight of expectations, the criticism, the spotlight. Sanders wanted the pressure, he asked for it. Now he has to prove he can thrive under it. For Cleveland, this is just another chapter in their decades-long search for stability under center. But for Shedeur, this is his entire story. His legacy starts right here, right now. Whether he becomes the savior of a cursed franchise or just another name on that long, infamous jersey depends on what happens next. So as we wrap this up, remember this. Football careers are short, opportunities are rare, and moments like this can define a player forever. Shedeur Sanders is standing at the edge of something massive. If he succeeds, he could change not just his life, but the way future players approach the NFL. If he fails, he'll serve as a reminder of why most rookies just take the call and play where they're drafted. Either way, we're all watching, because whatever happens next, it's going to be unforgettable.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.